helped me see that the mission of whoever I was working for is the core of what I need to capture. Started networking. I picked up a couple internships towards the latter half of my senior year through Skyline Chili, did some marketing with them. Small agency, which they were super awesome, super supportive, and I still talk to them to this day. They're like, wow, no way, we were your first job. We still take credit for whatever you do.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of In the Ellipsis. I'm Jeremiah Isley, your host, and today, super excited. This is sort of a first for the show. We've had a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, really cool people who are sort of forging their own path by creating their own businesses and brands and products and whatever. But today we have somebody living the dream in a business that I don't think you could just pop up and open in a couple days. We're joined by Elizabeth Nadeau, who is, I'll let you give the title and the responsibility. We'll dive right in here to the bookends. What is your job? What are you doing right now?
So I work for Six Flags as a regional area manager of social and digital content. So I'm in the creative marketing realm for the amusement park industry.
Let's go back to, I don't know, how far back should we go?
As far back as you need to.
Yeah, so young Elizabeth as a kid growing up, are you from Six Flags area, the Cincinnati area? Where did your story start?
Yeah, so I grew up in northern Kentucky, so I consider that the Cincinnati area. Kings Island was almost an hour drive, not too far. I grew up going to the park, and it was super special to my family. We went growing up about once a year on my dad's work trip, and then that turned into some season pass summers where my mom's a teacher, so it was really cool that we got to go several times throughout the summer when she was on break, and it was just me, my little sister, my grandma, and my mom, and it was my favorite place to go. It was my Disney World. It still is my Disney World. It's seriously, to me, the happiest place on earth. But going back further to young Elizabeth, as you referenced, I was the kid that had the iPad or the iPod Touch in hand at all times, recording everything. I had about 18 million iMovies, making trailers and little episodes that evolved into stop motion pictures. And, I feel like most kids go to a summer camp for sports. I went to Apple Camp and learned how to edit through Logic X Pro and, like I said, iMovie and Premiere. And it was just such a cool experience. So that is really what I think sparked that initial passion. But I don't think growing up I ever considered that the job that I wanted to do. I don't even think I understood that could be a job. But as things fell into place throughout, high school, college, and even beyond that, it became what I do every day.
That's awesome. So let's talk about after high school. Did you go to college? Did you go to tech school, trade school? What was your sort of next step towards your professional development and where you are now?
Yeah, so my senior year of high school, stepping back just a little bit further, we had a day where it was shadow or job shadow, you can stay behind and do some study hall type stuff. And my dad, he is a marketing guy as well, and he's like, why don't you come to work with me and meet all my coworkers and see what I do on a day-to-day basis. And I was like, okay, that sounds better than doing a study hall. So I went and met all of his awesome coworkers, and there was one lady in particular. He's like, I think you'd really like to meet her. Her job is super cool. He didn't expand beyond that. But I stepped into her office, and she had a wall of photos where she had been all around the world. And I was like, first of all, this office is nice. It was a huge space. So that was my senior year brain telling me, yes, I want whatever this is. And she was social media marketing manager for the company. And I was like, oh, social media. I never realized that was actually a job path. I thought that was just more for personal use. And this is, I feel right when brands were starting to pick up the need to be on socials. So I talked to some people, started networking. I picked up a couple internships towards the latter half of my senior year through Skyline Chili, did some marketing with them. small agency, which they were super awesome, super supportive. And I still talk to them to this day. They're like, wow, no way. Like, we were your first job. We still take credit for whatever you do. And then all throughout college, I went to Northern Kentucky University.
Okay.
So that was awesome. All 4 years, they had communications, marketing, and natural sciences and entrepreneurship. So I was all over the place.
Nice.
But everything kind of like came back to that social creative side, and so many internships with the school. I started working for TikTok in college, which was, I think, the biggest stepping stone after I had built up just kind of an expansive experience with like nonprofits, my church, restaurants and everything. And then TikTok saw that and they're like, hey, we have so many different brands. You have experience marketing so many kinds of brands. Why don't you, jump on our team? So I did that for a bit. And then my last year of college, I asked myself if there was anywhere in the world that I could work, where would that be? And immediately I thought, Kings Island. That's my favorite place in the world. Just did a quick Google search. Do they need someone for social media? And they had an internship. And that's where my journey, at least with Kings Island, began.
That's great. So, all right, we gotta talk about TikTok for a little bit. So you worked with TikTok. Talk about that experience. Like, what exactly were you doing? I guess as much as you can share. Like, what were you doing with them? Was it all like remote work, or did they send you places? How did that shake out?
Yeah, so it was primarily remote work. I had like regular meetings and everything. It was a full-time job where we were managers in our own right. They had a team of content creators, and there were about, I think, 200 of us, because it was just a starter program, because they wanted to see how this would kind of work hiring people for the first time. And I got an email and they said like, hey, we love your content. I have my resume also on TikTok as well for some like creator stuff. And they're like, we'd love for you to be a part of our team, where you're going to get a set number of content pieces a week. You're going to produce for those brands and then send that content out. So for example, every week I would send out my resume back to TikTok. Like, I just keep updating it every week, and they'd send it to like brands. I don't know if I'm able to share the brands, but I'd say more so like gaming, entertainment, restaurants, clothing brands, and whichever brands could get to my resume first and like sign up for one of my 10 to 20 slots of content to make for the week. They'd sign up. Those would be my brands, and I'd have to go out and film content for each of those brands. So one week I could be doing like fast food delivery and a girls' clothing store, and the next week I could be helping out like a sports team and a music store. So it was really cool just working with a bunch of different content plans and different brands as well. So that kind of helped prepare me for, I feel like, the role I'm in now, because there's so many different departments I help, and they're all, a variety of needs.
So like when I'm scrolling TikTok too much and like the Uber Eats, we'll say, ad comes on, that's just somebody that TikTok hired for that brand. Like, that brand has a contract with them, and they said, yeah, here, you got to make an ad for Uber Eats or whatever it might be.
Right. So either that would happen, like TikTok would hire for Uber, and like Uber could talk to that creator, or this is predating TikTok's shop, or Uber themselves could obviously make their own ads and push through like an ad
right
agency. Yeah.
That's interesting. So you worked for TikTok for a while. You worked with Skyline Chili, which we don't get a lot of it up here. Like I said, we're about 3 hours north of you. But we used to have one like 10 minutes from here, and it was great. I loved it. And it didn't survive. I guess it's a Cincinnati thing. Yeah. It's been gone. Actually, I didn't realize it had been gone for a while. And my wife the other day was like, oh yeah, that closed down like 5 years ago or something. I don't know. But so Skyline Chili, you're sort of working with some pretty big brands right out of the gate. What do you think contributed to that? Like, how do you think you got noticed by some of these bigger brands? Was it like some job placement networking out of college, or was it just you knocked on a ton of doors, or how do you think that came about? Or I guess, what would you attribute to that?
I would say that I definitely knocked on a ton of doors, sending out emails. I would personally reach out to companies and say, hey, here's my portfolio, here's my resume, and here's how I can help you. Because I'm not just in it for me, I'm in it to help your brand, and I'm in it to help, you growing. Positioning it like that, like it's more than just me. and it's more than just a job, it's a passion. I feel like a lot of brands really resonated with that, and that helped a ton in my journey.
Nice. So, okay. So you're at TikTok, you get out of that, you start thinking about what's next, where do I want to work? And you said you landed an internship with Kings Island. What can you tell us about that process and sort of how you got in the door there? And I guess, can you fill us in a little bit more about like what you do day to day and what your role is with, again, not just Cedar Fair now, it's Six Flags, and I'm sure we can't go into any of the details behind the scenes of all of that. I'm sure that's been an interesting, wild ride, but fill us in on what's happening now with you, where you are and sort of your day to day.
Yeah. So the internship, it was, I think I applied October of 2022 and I started working mid-March of 2023. And I was on the team just as a content creator. So just getting photo and video for social and anything that they would need for like media and stuff like that. So it was super fun because I'm like, this is what I do as a fan. I'm just, taking pictures, but now I get to do so in a professional atmosphere. And that was just the best experience ever. Everybody at Kings Island, the staff, they're just incredible people who are so passionate about what they do. And that just drove me to work harder every day. Still does. But as the season progressed, I was in my second to last semester of college. And so I had the first half of my internship then. And then I asked if I could stay a little bit longer throughout the season. And they're like, yeah, sure. So then I stayed on through Winterfest. And then I was in my last semester of college when the manager position opened. And I was like, I'm going to shoot my shot. Nice. I'm, fresh out of college. And I hope that what I've done and that my passion has helped, prove myself that I will work as hard as I possibly can. I love this place, and it's so much more than a job to me. Kings Island's my home, and I got the manager position, and that was awesome. Great end to my 2023. Just a great year because it happened so fast, March to December, and immediately after that, I learned, what this new role acquired, which was more, obviously intense than the internship was. And we had so much going on. I got to be more involved in things like opening Camp Snoopy and all the events and getting to see more of the behind the scenes action, which was obviously the coolest thing ever. And then that same year, so this is 2024, towards the middle, we found out about the merger. And just as a park enthusiast myself, I was excited. I love Six Flags, so that was cool. And then November, I acquired Worlds of Fun under my oversight. And this is hard living in Cincinnati. I'm a huge Kansas City fan.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was excited. I'm like, finally, some people that won't, be upset with my, and this is like growing up too, like I'd always wear Kansas City stuff, like Royals and Chiefs, and just wasn't a good time. But so I'm like, this is cool that I get a second home and it's here. I just felt like it was meant to be. Now we're Six Flags, and now I'm overseeing two parks and digital and social content, and I'm excited to see, just over the 3 seasons I've been with the park, it's like, what else is in store? Because this is amazing.
That's great. That's really cool. I love Winterfest down there. It's so beautiful. I'm a big, I love Christmas. So anything Christmas is great, but then Christmas and roller coasters and all the lights and everything,
can't get better.
So awesome. Yeah. So what's that like though with now 2 parks? Obviously one you live near, or I'm assuming, and the other one it's a good drive away or a flight. How has that been working, just sort of juggling back and forth those two parks?
The Worlds of Fun team, super awesome as well. They're just as passionate, and they genuinely just love the park and give 110% every day. So they've been super helpful. Like I said, I've been a amusement park enthusiast for the longest time. So I've seen every Worlds of Fun park vlog to exist. I've been following their socials since I got my first Instagram. So it's been really cool to get to work with their team, and they've been super kind and ready to help out whenever and wherever. And I get to travel to the park quite a bit, so it's been really neat.
Nice. Yeah, it's cool. And you mentioned earlier like how like warm and welcoming like Island staff was. I feel like I don't want to get like too far in the weeds of like just being a theme park enthusiast and a roller coaster person, like, but I feel like that's like the vibe of Kings Island. Like, I remember the first time I walked in, I was like, this is really cool. Like, everybody's really cool here. And like, I would call Cedar Point my home park because it's much closer. But man, I love walking in and right into International Street with the tower and the fountains. And I just think Kings Island's great.
Yeah, it's just also so motivating too. Like every day you're there and people are right beside you, cheering you on, supporting you, and also giving 110% to whatever their respective field is. And you're just like, wow, awesome. You're so talented and you're meant to be there. And it just feels, just so inspiring.
That's great. I saw you post on your Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it these days, something about like capturing first person view. Was it Diamondback?
It was Diamondback, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, man, that must have been a hard day at the office.
Well, I am very like perfectionist in all the work I do. Like if you like watch any of the stuff that I make, not even just for the park, but for myself, things have to line up to the music. Everything has to be, you know, exactly centered to where it needs to be. A little bit OCD in that respect, but I think it helps the job.
I think, I was going to say, in some professions and in some lines of work, it definitely is helpful. So let's go back. You mentioned, we obviously we talked about TikTok and Skyline and stuff. You also mentioned some like nonprofit work and you're working with your church. What role has that played in your life? And especially like, feel free to talk about your faith. I guess, working with nonprofits, do you feel like that built a platform of like not just looking at work as work or a job as a job? Like how was that formative in some way, or am I just pulling stuff out of nowhere?
No, you're absolutely correct. With the church, this is like when I was fresh deciding I want to be social and digital. And our worship minister at the time, which I'm a part of my church's worship team, so I play guitar every Sunday or on the Sundays that they schedule me.
Nice.
And the worship minister at the time, he's like, I heard that you decided on a career. I was like, I think I did. He's like, well, we could actually use that here. We have events. We need, a brand new website to be built. And it was like a bunch of stuff that I had just never done before. But it was going to give me that well-rounded scope of, how do I build a website? How do I, help with newsletters, logo creation, branding, and, creating videos for events. And I think my favorite part was before every sermon, we have like a movie trailer in a way. It's called a sermon bumper. And it just, it's like this dramatic, like this is the book of Matthew. And I just had so much fun with that. And I feel like a lot of the work that I did for the church built my portfolio to have such a nice foundation. But on the other side of that, obviously it gave me experience, but it helped me see that the mission of whoever I was working for is the core of what I need to capture, which isn't always the easiest thing to do because you have to see, you're not showing somebody who's standing right there seeing it. You're capturing it through a lens and hoping that they get that mission from the picture, from the video that you grab. So I think a lot of what I did for Plum Creek Christian was figuring out the heart and the soul of the church. What were we trying to do? Which their motto is leading people to a life-changing relationship with Jesus. And that's what I wanted to capture in every single thing I did, the entire part of, including the website of my role. So it was a great, great foundation for me.
That's really cool. That's cool. That's interesting what you said about, knowing the mission of whatever. That's the important thing. It's not just being flashy or, taking a great picture, but like, is it pushing forth the vision or the mission of who you're working with or working for?
Exactly. Yeah.
Very cool. So what's next for you? What do you like? What do you see in your long view? Like, you're happy here? You're riding this out. You're going to grow with the amusement park industry, or do you feel like you have something else that is like chapter 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it might be? How do you feel that looks for you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm on chapter like 3 or 4 of the same book that I'm on, but man, I would love this story to continue on.
Yeah.
I have just genuinely fallen in love with what I do. And just the way that the team believes in me and has supported me throughout this journey, it's just irreplaceable and it means so much to me. They have invested in me and that they, saw a straight out of college grad and said, "Hey, we're gonna let you control social media for the park," and that was insane. And I take it very seriously, and I would love to just continue on this journey. So I'm not sure what it looks like as it's changed dramatically the past 3 seasons.
Sure,
but it's
sure.
I'm very blessed to have been on the trajectory that I've been on. I think that the main reason that I don't want to like switch careers at all, or at least right now, is just because it's a dream come true. I've always wanted to work for someone or go to a place for work and that it doesn't also feel like work, if that makes sense. And
Absolutely.
With this role,
yeah,
it's like I get to do social media for a small town as almost like I describe it to people like I'm advertising restaurants and stores and attractions and entertainment and events. And it's like I'm promoting this wonderful place and all that there is to it. And there's so many different facets of it that I just never could get bored. I love it so much. So I hope that they keep me on forever.
That's awesome. Yeah, that it's interesting you say it because when you say, oh, it's like running for a town, it totally is. There's the food service industry and the retail industry and the tourism industry. Like it's all sort of this melting pot of it all in the confines of this park. That's really cool. Yeah. And I totally agree with you, finding things that you love to do. And, oh, by the way, that's how you earn your living. Like I don't know what I would do if I got to walk into an amusement park every day.
It's surreal. Like, sometimes
this is what I'm doing today.
No way, there's an Eiffel Tower outside my office window. Pinch myself a bit.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I've been very fortunate. I've worked a ton in theater and I still do. And so like things that I love, I get to do. And, I feel that too. Like one of the theaters that I still work with, I walk in there every day and I'm like, this is a pretty good day at the office.
That's
it's
so
just
cool.
It's very cool. So I can totally relate with what you're saying there. Hey everyone, Jeremiah Isley here, your host of In the Ellipsis, with a quick reminder that we are powered by Crooked Path Productions. At Crooked Path Productions, we help people make podcasts. And right now, we're giving away all of our secrets. If you go to fasttrack.crookedpathmedia.com, you can download our full Fast Track podcast guide, including our pre-production, our production checklist, our post-production checklist, a full gear guide, and a content planner framework. It's literally like all of our secrets for creating a great sounding, great looking, world-class podcast. So if you want to check that out and you want to get your own podcast underway, you can head on over there and get that, again, completely free, no strings attached. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get back to the show. All right, we're going to do, it's a brand new segment, and it's experimental. We'll see how it goes. I don't know that I have the right name for it sometimes. Well, so I've done a bunch of other podcasts in the past, and we've called it the lightning round, and it's just fun. Like there's no wrong answers, I guess, but so I don't know. I was thinking about calling it 5 quick answers to 5 quick questions or something like that. But anyway, I'm rambling. Let's just get to the questions. And if you want me, I've got some extras if you want me to pass on one, but we'll just kind of do this rapid fire. So
Awesome.
First one, and maybe the word favorite is active here, but maybe not best, but favorite.
Okay.
Your favorite roller coaster.
Ooh. So my favorite roller coaster is Mystic Timbers, but retired ride would be Firehawk.
Oh. Now, okay, Firehawk, was that the X-Flight that came from Geauga Lake?
Yes, that's correct.
So I wrote it as X-Flight, way back in the day, and I never got to ride it as Firehawk at Kings Island, but it was fun. It was cool.
I always have to give it a shout out when people ask my favorite ride. I'm like, what? There's two.
But Mystic Timbers is right up there. That's a great ride. Very, very cool.
Fun.
And I got to ride that at Winterfest a year or two ago. And so like with the snow and lights and everything, it was really, really awesome. So
that's so neat.
All right. Okay. What's your Chipotle order?
Oh, I'm so boring. I said I had Chipotle to you earlier and I'm like, oh, my order. So I get white rice, chicken, steak, and queso.
Okay. So rice, chicken, steak, and queso. No salsas. No. Yeah.
No.
See, my kid does that too. He's like meat, beans, cheese. Like that's it.
I need to branch out from my chicken tender diet. So that's as branched out as I've gotten.
I'm telling you, the corn salsa is really good.
I'll take your word for it.
All right. Maybe loaded question. Maybe, I don't know. But what's your favorite social platform?
I'd say YouTube. If that counts. I can scroll through shorts way longer than I'd like to admit. And I just love watching like docu-series and park vlogs. So I think that would be, because it's a little bit diverse in that respect.
Yeah. YouTube is strange. I don't spend a ton of time on shorts on YouTube, but like I'll look up instructional stuff like all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, it's so, I fixed my dryer because of YouTube and I didn't have to pay anybody. It was great.
And YouTube has saved my wallet many times.
Absolutely. Okay. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh, I would say anything Carrie Underwood. Probably See You Again or Good Girl by Carrie Underwood.
Okay. Do you sing, or like are you just like karaoke superstar?
If I'm given the option, I'll be instrument based.
Right.
I'll be behind the scenes, but if I have to sing, I will.
Got it. I'm the same way. I can play multiple instruments, but you really don't want to put a microphone.
I'll make a solo that sounds like the lyric part. Like, please
there
don't make
me. I'll play that melody line. Don't make me sing it. Awesome. All right. And the final quick question with quick answer. This may be a harder question to answer, but if you could have dinner with one person from history, I guess past or present, who would you have it with and why?
That is a really good
I guess
question.
It's a two-part question.
I would, goodness, this is difficult. I would have to go with, gosh, this is a tough one because it's like, especially like for me who loves like the entertainment industry, like do I choose a musician? Do I choose an actor and actress? So I feel like I should just go the alternate route and go with Queen Elizabeth. And actually, I think I would choose Queen Elizabeth just to kind of see what royalty is all about.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a lot of rich history, and she got to live through so much of it. And she also like just had so much inspiration on women throughout those years. So I'd love to get to hear from her and just see like what legacy she feels like she left on the world.
Right. Yeah, that's a good answer. I feel like the stories would be pretty wild.
Oh yeah. Like
that was a crazy time in history. So
definitely
awesome.
not music or entertainment. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's great. You know, some people are like, you know, I don't know, the president or they go with a biblical character or whatever.
I guess I could have chose Jesus after I just talked about him for 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of like the Sunday school answer too, right?
That's true.
Awesome. Well, we're just about out of time. How do people find you? Obviously, they can see your content on Kings Island and Worlds of Fun's social pages. Is there any other pages that you want to promote, let people know about? I'll give the time to you to share that. Yeah,
I'm on X, Elizabeth Nadeau, and if you guys see me anywhere else, just give me a shout out if you ever see me in the park. Say hey. Super friendly, I promise. And I just love getting to meet new people, and I will talk your head off. So
awesome. Very cool. Yeah, and I'll link that all in the show notes for the folks that want to look that up. And yeah, so very, very cool. All right. Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for taking time and sharing your story. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just so cool when people find themselves in some crazy level of success and get to live a dream. And I'm glad you got to share your story today. So thanks for doing
blessed.
That.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, just a quick reminder, if you liked what you heard today and you found that inspiring and you want to share that with somebody else, sharing this episode is a great way to thank Elizabeth for taking the time to be here today. Or if you know of somebody or you yourself have a great story to tell and you want to come on the show, again, all the contact information's in the show notes. So I'd love to hear from you and maybe we can get you on the show. All right. With that, I should remind you as well that we are powered by Crooked Path Productions, where we help people make podcasts just like this one. All right. For my guest, Elizabeth Nadeau, I'm Jeremiah Isley saying we'll see you next time, and we'll be in the ellipsis.